and legs and stores are going to slide closed.
Where are you going?
Take off in just a moment, friends. We'll above you to your animal spotting guide. I'll give you an idea of some of the animals we can see today. We're not going to see all of them, but we typically have pretty good luck. Asante Sana, thank you, Warden. As we say here in Harambe, Twende, which means let's go. Jumbo friends, my name is Chris. I'm going to be your safari driver throughout the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Before we get started, a couple safety reminders. I am going to ask that everyone please remain seated at all times during this tour. There's no switching seats from this point onward. Keep those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle as well. If you have any small children, they can be seated on your lap, but they too need to stay seated there. So please, friends, do not hold your children up in the air, do not stand them up, do not move them around from seat to seat. These rules are very, very important. These roads get rather bumpy. That is for your safety, so they do need to be followed throughout the entirety of this tour. For the safety of the animals out here, if you have any type of food, make sure that it's sealed and put away. There's no eating in the safari at any time. I'm going to ask friends that we always keep low voices. We should never get too loud, and especially never shout in any of these areas. Not try to reach out and touch any of the animals, and certainly do not try to back them close to these vehicles or antagonize them in any way. So no snaps, claps, whistles, animal noises, kissing noises, hand gestures, any of the other sort. We need to stay very respectful and mindful to all the ones that we meet. First part of the store that we are entering, it is called the Little Ituri Forest. Here animals use their natural color patterns set with camouflage. This helps them blend well into their environments and helps protect them from predators. First animal I'm going to talk about is going to be on our right-hand side. That is a forest giraffe known as the okapi. The okapi, it is the only known relative that a giraffe does have. A couple similarities are these long prehensile tongues. They act like a hand to grab up all of their food with. They also have elongated necks, much like giraffes, even sharing the same amount of vertebrae in their necks as well. And the stripe patterns on their legs serve a second purpose outside of camouflage. The baby okapi, they memorize their mother's stripe patterns. They would then follow them throughout these forest environments to protect themselves from various predators, as well as to find their own food. Keeping to the right for now, I'm going to talk about these female greater kudu. Now males, they have horns roughly 6 feet in length on their heads, but the females, no horns at all. Greater kudus, they can emit these very loud barking noises. It's the loudest noise any antelope species can make. They use it to alert each other any type of dangers that we come inside of the forest. We get two really nice views of black rhinos here on our left-hand side. The black rhino, it is a solitary creature, so they always spend their time separated. They very rarely come together. They also have no natural predator out in the wild, but they do have one we consider unnatural, and sadly, this is considered mankind. So man has hunted the black rhinoceros to near extinction. There's only around 3,000 left in the world today, and that's better than some of the other rhino numbers. The white rhino is down to 1,500, and the northern white rhino officially went extinct a few months ago. People hunt them for their horns on their heads. They feel they serve a medicinal purpose. But the reality is, those horns are made of keratin and are no different than our fingernails. We do support efforts to protect and preserve the rhinoceros. One way the conservationists do this is they dye those horns pink to run some violence to some poachers. It's always a big focus for us here in Harambe. A lot of these animals, they are considered critically endangered. When you think about a rhino, they are not hunted by any other animal. They are way too powerful. Those are 3,000 pounds, the white rhino 5,000. They have these armor platings that animals can't pierce. That is strictly due to man, so we really want to do a better job of protecting these animals. We have two more animals I'm going to talk about, both the bongo as well as the saddle-billed stork in the background. Bongos, they have these short, heavy, curved horns that they use to brush away the underbrush of their forest environments, so they can swiftly travel through their ecosystem. And the saddle-billed stork, they have no vocal cords, so in order for them to communicate, they rattle their bills together. We're going to move into the Santhi River. This is home to both the Nile crocodile as well as the hippopotamus. There's a baby hippo I'll look for today, little Greta. She's out. She'll be out on the left. I'll do my best to point her out if I see her. For now, we're going to look to our right-hand side. This is our first chance to possibly see some hippos. You're just not going to be my focus. Instead, I'm going to be focusing in on the pink-backed pelicans. Pink-backed pelicans get their names because during mating season, their backs actually glow bright pink colors. It's during these times that males take the biggest, strongest twigs they can find. They present those twigs to the females, who then choose their mates. Looking out to the left, we see a couple of the hippos that live out in this area. Now the hippo is going to spend the majority of its time completely submerging itself in water. They're going to do that to keep from overheating. So the hippo needs to spend about 8 minutes at a time completely submerged before they pop up and take a breath. For the longest time, scientists believed that the hippopotamus was related to the pig. But they're doing more research and study, they found these are actually relatives to whales and dolphins. Much like these animals, the hippopotamus, they're going to use sonar to communicate underneath this water. So all the rivers you're seeing here, our wardens built microphones inside of these rivers that is to pick up on that sonar so we can keep track of when these hippos are conversing. I think that might be all the hippos I have fully in view right now. Yeah, it looks like that's about it. But I want you to keep looking out to the left-hand side, because on their embankment, in the far left, it is the Nile crocodile. The Nile crocodile is one of the fiercest predators in all of Africa. They go to be 16 feet in length, and they weigh around 500 pounds. Something you may not know about a Nile crocodile, however, is that they can be very loving parents. Both mothers and fathers, they take their eggs, they roll these around on their tongues. This helps with incubation as well as the hatching process. Once those eggs have hatched, these parents can take a very active role in these young hatchlings' lives. So looks can be deceiving. When it comes to their own, no key emphasis, it is the word own. The Nile crocodile proved to be a rather loving creature. On our right-hand side, the first thing I'm going to talk about is a baobab tree. Baobabs, they look like trees that sit upside down, but the reality to them is they remain leafless 9 months out of the year. And so they can conserve water during the dry seasons in Africa. And so during these times, they infiltrate the trunk of those trees, they get water from them. So those tree trunks, they hold about 24,000 gallons of water inside. So it helps keep these animals hydrated during those dry periods. It's because of this that tree goes by another name. It is very commonly referred to as the Tree of Life. And it lets us know we are entering the largest portion of our tour. We are now inside the savannah. Here in the savannah, animals use speed as the main source of defense. I might focus on the speed of a couple of the animals while we're out here. But as you can already see, this is home to some of the most iconic animals. So giraffes, zebras, rhinos, cheetahs, lions, elephants, hyenas, wildebeest. This is where they can be found. So almost always when you're thinking about an animal that lives inside of Africa, you're usually thinking about an animal that lives in the savannah. And as we enter, we can already see those iconic Maasai giraffes on our right-hand side. Maasai giraffe is the tallest animal we will meet today. They stand in at around 18 feet tall. And they have these very rough, sharp patterns. It is distinct to the Maasai. Once we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to appreciate those patterns a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to focus too much on those giraffes right now. They're not going to be my focus just yet. I do want to look to the left-hand side. It's my one chance to talk about the African painted dogs, as usual I want to start with. First animal I'll go in depth on. And I do see the painted dogs here on our left. You can see them on this hilltop here. African painted dogs, they get this name due to the black patterns they have. Almost as they've been brush stroked on. Each one you can see is going to be distinct from one another. No two ever looks exactly alike, so they can tell each other apart even from great distances. And they have both alpha males as well as alpha females. That means characters of the pack can be the main source of breeding. While they may look cute, those are the most successful hunters in all of Africa. They catch their prey 98% of the time. The way they do that is they encircle that prey. They tire it out to exhaustion. That's when they strike. I heard a couple of people asking if these are hyenas. These are not. In fact, hyenas are not dogs. They're not part of the canine family at all. They're part of a family grouping all of their own, and it's Hyenidae. They only have one relative, and that's the weasel. Let me get back to some of the animals out here. I'm going to start with the sable antelope in that left corner. The sable antelope are the official emblem to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They were chosen because in Africa they are a symbol of strength. The sable antelope is the only antelope species in the choice of fight or flight. They always choose to fight, using the horns on their heads to defend themselves from predators as fierce as lions. But they also use it against other males during mating season. The animals are very few fierce. Give you a really nice look at these Maasai giraffes now that we're a little bit closer to them. The Maasai giraffes, you can see them moving around. They are always going up for their next meal. These giraffes do need to eat around 22 hours every day. I'm going to talk about those eating patterns, but we're coming up to the baby Maasai, little Humphrey on our left-hand side. He's the littlest guy out here, though he's not little. So Humphrey does stand at 12 feet tall. In fact, he was 6 feet when he was first born. The first thing that baby giraffes ever learn is gravity. That is because mothers give birth standing straight in the air. That does serve a purpose. That drop kickstarts these babies' hearts and nervous systems. That way they can walk and run as soon as they are born. Now, as I mentioned, we can see them all eating or going to get some food. This is how a Maasai giraffe will spend the majority of their day. Maasai giraffes, they will eat 22 hours every day. So So what they'll do is they'll use their long prehensile tongues to wrap around their food. They're going to break that food off, chew it up a little bit. That food's going to travel down to a chamber in their stomach. It then comes back up to the mouth. They chew it again, and then it moves down to another chamber. Their food has to pass through 4 separate chambers before it's completely digested. Because the Maasai giraffe constantly eats, they rarely sleep. Giraffes in general don't sleep very often. Most average just at around 2 to 4 hours. But a Maasai giraffe, they sleep for just 30 minutes in a day. They do so either sitting or standing, never lying completely down. That's how to protect them from predators. Got a really nice look. Mara there, she used her prehensile tongue to wrap around. You can see I have that dark black and blue color. The reason their tongues are so dark is they absorb sunlight, keeping them getting sunburn as they continue to graze. Probably that's all I'm going to talk about with those giraffes. I got 2 different animal species here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to start with those tiny little antelopes. You know, we're going to talk about the largest animal. Let's talk about the smallest, the springbok. Springbok get their names because when startled, they spring about 6 feet in the air at a time. We call that bronking. And those little antelopes there, they are actually one of the top 10 fastest land mammals, capable of hitting top speeds at around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Puts them around 10 to 15 miles per hour, so the world's fastest land mammal, the cheetah. That's even more impressive when you consider they're about a third of the size of that cheetah. Also closest to us are these wildebeest on the reserve. The wildebeest here make up the largest herd in all of North America, and yet it's still considered an incredibly small herd. I say that because in the wild, wildebeest, they're going to travel in herds as much as 1.5 million. They will travel between 500 to 1,000 miles during their migration period. It makes them the second largest migrating mammal, second only to mankind. We're going to move on to another portion of the savanna. So we're now moving into the male elephant yard. We'll look for a male elephant on our right. And as soon as we enter, we're going to meet one of the male elephants. Pretty common just to see one. When males reach adulthood, they actually separate from their herds. They strike out on their own. So if you ever see a male elephant traveling in a herd, it's never more than 2 or 3. We call those male bachelor troops. Before I talk more about him, on the left-hand side, I see a little olive baby mandrill inside of this tree line. And Lily is out. She's going to be Lily's way easier to see right now than Olive is. But these are mandrills. The mandrill is the largest monkey species. So males can weigh as much as 100 pounds, but the females are only going to weigh around 30 to 40 pounds. Males have bright blue and bright faces. They get brighter and brighter. The male with the brightest face will be considered the alpha. You may have noticed, if I have the time, I don't have an issue mentioning some of the names of some of these animals out here, but I didn't say that elephant's name. I never use the names of elephants. Unlike these other animals, the elephant, they will respond to their name. When I use them, they think I'm bringing them treats, so when I have nothing for them, they get upset with me. So be respectful. I do not use their names while traveling out in safari, nor can I share them with you at any part of the store, especially with me mic'd up like this. That is because the road we're traveling on, it's sitting at around 2.5 miles, and the African elephant, they can hear from up to 3 miles away. Now because that hearing is so sensitive, a number of noises do bother them. Anything too loud, anything too high-pitched. One our own conservation team discovered is they get really annoyed by the buzzing noise that a bee makes. We use that knowledge to help farmers in Kenya to protect their crops. So they do is to build beehive fences along their farmlands. This helps keep roaming elephants away, keep them troubling their homes and troubling their fields. The farmers can then take the honey from those beehive fences and can sell that as well. So it's safe for the elephants, it's good for the farmer, it's good for the bees. That's good for the bee owner. The reason that this is so important is for the longest time, farmers in Kenya to protect their crops, they were firing off rifle rounds and throwing rocks at these elephants. The elephant by nature, they're very emotional creatures with incredibly long memories. They start to associate these farmlands with dangerous. This created a lot of issues as they grew up a generational distrust of those farmers. By using more humane methods, again, bees, they just annoy these elephants. Start to view these farmlands as dangerous less and less, and it helps bring harmony back to these areas. So always a big focus for us, trying to find ways for mankind and these animals to peacefully coexist in these naturally shared environments. So we are getting a nice look at the female herd of elephants, females being far more social than their male counterparts. They spend their entire lives in these herds. This is also where they raise the young. That can include young males as well. Males don't separate until adulthood, so usually around 14 years or older is when they'll start to separate. But it's always great seeing the elephants out in their natural environments. This has become something of a rarity these days, and it's due to a mineral we've been mining for known as coltan. Coltan, that is used in the production of our cell phones and electronic devices. It is found primarily inside of elephant habitats, and because we mine so much for that material, we've actually destroyed the homes in which the African elephant would live in, made it really difficult for them to survive in the wild. We can do our part to help the elephant. The easiest way we do this is by recycling. And we focus on recycling old electronic devices rather than just throwing those out. Those don't need to mine for that material, like coltan. It helps keep these elephant environments safe. Driving around these waters, we are going to meet the greater flamingo. This includes some toddler greater flamingo as well. The toddlers are a little bit smaller, and they still have this grayish and black complexion on both their heads as well as their legs. Flamingos, they get their pink colors due to their diets. They eat brine shrimp that contains keratin and gives the adults those nice pink colors that you're seeing. It actually takes the young around 2 years to get that complexion throughout, and a flock of flamingo is known as a flamboyance. If you ever wondered why you see flamingos standing on one leg, they do that for 2 reasons. One is to help protect themselves from predators that may lurk in the shallows of waters, but its main use is to conserve their energy as they rest. We're going to enter the east of the savanna at this time. Oh, I was going to talk about those ducklings, but instead I'm going to talk about a baby white rhino. And it is the youngest, the smallest, the sweetest, the best of all the baby white rhinos, little Logan. Not technically facts, but all true about her. That little girl is just at a year old. Now, even at a year old, she does weigh 1,500 pounds. She has 2 older brothers, Milo and Ranger. Milo's a middle child. At a year and a half, he weighs 2,000 pounds, and Ranger, the oldest, at 2 years old, weighing over 3,000 pounds. White rhinos grow faster than any other mammal species. So those little ones put on about 80 pounds just about every day during their adolescence. They do this until they reach their adult weight, which will be around 5,000. And white rhinos actually live inside of herds known as a crash. It is a nickname they very much have earned. The white rhino is very kind, docile by nature. However, they can only see about 10 feet in front of them, so account of that, they constantly crash into things. And as I mentioned, those are 5,000 pounds of pure muscle, not really an animal you would want to crash into. Sometimes we do see them separate to splash around in these mud pits that you're also seeing on the ground. Those are mud wallows. White rhinos do that in the early mornings. They cover their bodies in mud to help protect themselves from heat, as well as from various insects. I'm going to start looking up on top of these hilltops on our left-hand side, and there she is. We've got one of the cheetahs in view. Getting a really nice view of that cheetah. We've got some more of those white rhinos, but I'm just going to be focusing in on that cheetah here. The cheetah, getting a great view of her right now. That's pretty rare. Cheetahs are expert camouflagers. They like to use their spots, the shadows they reserve in tall grass, to blend very, very well into their environments. They do that for a number of reasons. They're a lot weaker than other predators, so they need to do this for protection. They're also weaker than a lot of their prey, so they need to sneak up to catch their meals. When we think about a cheetah catching their meals, we don't think about their camouflage. We of course think about their immense speed. This is the world's fastest land mammal. They're capable of hitting top speeds at 70 miles per hour. They go from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. Now, a cheetah is a sprinter, not a marathon runner. They can only keep that up for about 30 seconds at a time before they stop and take a break. However, in that short amount of time, they cover great distances. So in 30 seconds, cheetahs run the length of a football field and a half. It's around 150 yards. This is why I absolutely love early morning safaris. Dakari, if you're wondering what he's doing there, he's trying to get himself ready for bed. So he's moving around the grass, make himself a nice little bed. A lot of people don't realize lions are nocturnal creatures. They hunt at night. They have to sleep during the day. I need everyone to stay seated. My friend in the back, I need you sitting down for me. I'm going to go ahead and move. When we stand, I do not stay near animals, so please, friends, make sure we are staying seated at all times for me. As I was saying, lions are they are nocturnal. They hunt at night. They sleep during the day. That lion needs to sleep 16 to 18 hours throughout the day, and it's to conserve energy in between their hunts. When it is time to go out and do that hunting, though, it wouldn't be the male. He's not the hunter. It's the females. So those females, those are the hunters of the group. Males are going to stay behind. They protect their territories as well as their young. Of course, looking at Dakari, he has that beautiful mane, but as we look here at, this is Kima, I'm not seeing her sister right now, but the females have no manes at all. Scientists did discover, however, if there's an all-female group of lions with no male, alpha females, they actually grow manes much akin to their male counterparts. And herds of lions, these are known as prides, hence the name Pride Rock in the movie The Lion King. Speaking of The Lion King, Dakari, he is a bit of a movie star. He was used for Simba in the live adaptation of The Lion King done a couple of years ago. He actually recently just had his birthday. In fact, he turned 14 yesterday. looks like that might be all the animal friends I'm seeing right now in this area. There's one more friend of mine though, who's always going to be in this area. They never really move. So I want you to look to your right hand side. I want you to look all the way down to the ground. It is there that you might notice some ostrich eggs. Ostrich eggs weigh around 3 pounds. It's the amount of 2 dozen chicken eggs. They're actually so tough, adult males can stand on those and they would not break. Going to move into the final leg of this tour. This is the Magadi Glen. Drive by the warden's post. I'm already looking at those final animals of view, so last but not least, without further ado, some of the smallest and cutest animals you will meet all day. On top of that hill, you're already seeing one of the Nigerian dwarf goats. So while these goats are very small, these are all fully grown. They do not get very large. The Nigerian dwarf goat is a very social, playful, and curious creature. That play does serve a purpose. It helps these little goats to develop their bodies physically, as well as help establish dominance from within their groups. And these are commonly kept as pets in many parts of the world. However, if you ever wanted to have a Nigerian dwarf goat, you always have to buy 2. They are incredibly social creatures, so they always need another goat companion. Well, my friends, that'll be the end of our tour today. I want to thank you for joining me. I've enjoyed learning about these animals, had appreciation for them. I will be dropping you off momentarily, but if you'd like to learn more about these animals, you can do so at DisneyAnimals.com. There's also the Magic Disney's Animal Kingdom found on Disney Plus in the National Geographic section. If you would like to help these animals, that's something I greatly encourage. The easiest way to do this is to recycle. We do have recycling cans throughout all of our Disney parks and resorts. This is the only park, though, that you can donate to the Disney Conservation Fund. You can donate to that fund at any of our service locations. Just speak to a cashier, let them know you'd like to donate, how much you'd like to donate. They leave you a little button thing. To make way over to the Starbucks in this park, you can order a black white. All the proceeds of that drink go to the Cotton-Top Camaranian monkeys who are currently critically endangered. At the end of every day, Disney matches all these donations, dollar for dollar, so we can all do our part to help these animals. Every little bit we do counts. Many wilderness explorers travel with me. You were traveling on the Simba 1. Again, to any wilderness explorer, this was the Simba 1. If you would like to see some more of the animals, there'll be a number of options for you. The closest is going to be the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. That is up here on the right-hand side as you exit this vehicle. Looks like we're about to get the all clear, so this will officially go our separate ways. Before we do that, look at just one last thing that safari drivers like to use. This is Kwaheri, and it simply means goodbye in Swahili.